One of my favorite species of fish to guide for is kokanee. Berryessa is a trophy kokanee fishery. The river channels can almost be like an underwater highway for fish. I'll consider that a pro tip right there. A little breakdown on lures that I've been running, and that's just gonna add even more action. It's gonna be whipping in the water big time. The best lure for kokanee out there, and it's gonna catch you fish. When you come out on my boat, you're seeing me use all this stuff. That's how I run all my trolling rods. Hey guys, just wanted to take a minute and kind of explain a couple of things out here. I guide for just about everything on Lake Berryessa. One of my favorite species of fish to guide for is kokanee, though. Berryessa is I guess what I consider a trophy kokanee fishery. We get less kokanee here at Berryessa, planted in the lake, but our kokanee get huge. There's some years where we get fish up to 3 pounds and up over 20 inches. But you know, on average, our kokanee are much larger than any other fish in pretty much in California in general. One reason why kokanee is such a sought after species is because they're table fare. They're table fare. It's probably one of the best tasting fish you can catch in fresh water, and it can also be one of the most fun fish to catch in fresh water. As you get later into summer, these fish will school up. There'll be large schools. In Berryessa, we don't get the larger schools because we don't have the numbers of fish. But you know, you'll find schools of fish from 10 fish all the way up to 20, 30 fish in a school. And you can, when you bring your gear through them, there'll be times where you'll have 3, 4 fish hook up at once, and it's just pandemonium. It's a lot of fun for kids, for anyone from an amateur all the way to someone that fishes every day. Kokanee can be a blast, and that's probably the number 2 reasons why people really love to fish for kokanee. So with kokanee, you're gonna need really good electronics. Period. You've got to have good electronics. You've got to be able, to see anything from 1 or 2 fish on the graph from 30 feet all the way down to fishing 120, 140 feet sometimes and seeing them lay down in the mud. Without good electronics, you're kind of in a bad way. It's very important to have good sonar. A lot of people are using live scope to troll for them now, but I think just a good solid sonar unit will get you in the game. Another thing, we fish for them a whole lot slower than what you'd fish for trout. We fish anywhere from a mile an hour all the way to about 1.7 miles an hour. Generally, if you're trolling 1.2 to 1.5, you're going to be in the zone. We use dodgers, we use T-Pexes is probably my favorite way to catch them. We use hoochies, we use spinners. There's a whole variety of different lures that we use, and I'll get into that later. But the T-Pex is probably my favorite. It definitely catches more fish than any other kokanee lure out there. And you have a good chance of catching trout, king salmon, crappie, bass. We've got catfish. We catch everything on the T-Pexes, and it keeps things interesting. You really never know what you're going to get when you're trolling them. So one of the reasons why people can come out to Berryessa and be intimidated is because of the size of the lake. Berryessa is massive, and you'd think that you'd be able to find fish just about anywhere, but that's not the case. These fish, they move around a lot, and unfortunately they have tails, and you can go and you can find them in one spot one day and go back the very next day and they're gone. And on a lake this big, it can make things very, very challenging for someone that's not out here too often. One of the things, not only at Berryessa, but pretty much any other lake or reservoir that you can do to be more successful and try to find kokanee is locate the river system that goes through the lake. If you can locate that river system, fish over the top of the channel and just keep moving until you locate fish. The river channels can almost be like an underwater highway for fish. And at some point, if you're fishing over the top of it on both sides, you're end up locating not only kokanee, but you'll find trout. You'll find just about any species of fish that that inhabits that body of water. When I locate, a good amount of fish in an area, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna fish on top of those fish for a while. If they're there, that was the biggest piece of the puzzle. You found them. Now you got to figure out how to try to get them to bite. Sometimes it may not even be, what you're using. If you know that what you're using works, keep on using it. Keep beating them over the head with it until they finally say, okay, I'll come with you, I'll bite, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see anglers make is they find the fish and they're like, they're not biting, let's go find more. Well, you end up looking to go find more, and then you never find more fish. You go back to the ones you were on, and they're gone too. Now your day's, kind of messed up, and you got a good chance of going home with a skunk. So that's I'll consider that a pro tip right there. If you found the fish, you figured out the biggest piece of the puzzle. Now stay with them and try to make them eat. That's the key. I'll change speeds. I'll change speeds first. I'll always try and speed up. Speed up first. Try and see if they're on your action bite. If not, then I'll slow all the way down to say a mile an hour. Nice and slow. See if if you get your presentation to stay in their face a little bit longer, if they'll bite at that point. I'll change my corn out a lot. We use the best corn there is out there, guys, for kokanee. It's Chrome Killer corn. You'll see the recipe. You can go to the Catch America website and see that. But keep on fresh in the corn, and don't get lazy. You've gotta stay on top of it. Keep changing your depths. Although you're seeing fish, say, at 30 feet, okay? You're seeing them at 30, 40 feet. That doesn't mean those fish are going to be active at that water depth. Sometimes you got to go deeper than that. Sometimes you got to go higher. Keep making adjustments until you figure out, wham, you catch one, now repeat. Now get everything a little bit in tighter. Say that you've been fishing between 30 and 50 feet. Well, you finally just got a bite at 50 feet. Drop everything down a little bit more, get everything kind of close to that 50-foot range, and you're going to be way more successful. Just wanted to give you guys a little breakdown on lures that I've been running, lures that have proven to be extremely effective for me, and all part of the Catch America kokanee system, trout system, and everything of that nature. I'm going to start off with a couple of my absolute go-tos as far as our stick baits go. This is the trigger shad. I'll use these a lot in, I'd say, like November till about March or so. Bait can be a lot smaller. That profile works out really well. As they get a little larger, we now have the big Nate bait. And as you'll see, we made some videos today using this product. We're trolling at 1.5 miles an hour, but we've been going down to 1.2. Using these on outside rods while trolling for kokanee and crushing big eagle lake trout, king salmon, bass, and crappie. We've got 4 different species on them today. That's a big Nate bait right there. That color's been working well today, but we've also tried 3 other colors and got hit on those as well. Now, we're going to go to Dodgers. Everyone knows, it's no secret at all, that's my favorite Dodger we make right there. That is a 6-inch offset 24 karat gold Dodger, okay? I give that thing a nice bend like that. You'll see when you get them. They come flat, but I just take them, I put one thumb right here, make like a T, and just come straight across, and just keep bending them kind of all the way up until you get a nice curve on it, all right? And that's just going to add even more action. It's going to be whipping in the water big time. But you can see that reflection just from me turning it. That's 24 karat. I don't know of any other company that does 24 karat. There might be, but I know we do, and I know it flat out works. Here's a smaller version. When the fish can be finicky, early season, that's our 4-inch right there. And that's an offset Dodger as well. And once again, it's got that bend. All right? Always want to put a bend in them. So, one of our other Dodgers that gives a very unique action, a little bit more erratic at times too, but it can work when fish are really finicky or when they're really on the chomp. That's our willow leaf Dodger. If you look, it's got a very unique design. It's got a lot of different bends in it. It's kind of got that arrowhead shape. All right. This is the Wonder Bread. I've been running this one as well as a 24 karat. Those are only two colors I've tried so far. We just got hit on that rod. Oh, he missed it. Sucker, he got lucky. Something that we've been trying out today, and this is something new to Catch America, is our winged hoochies. All right, this is a larger one. This is our 2-inch. Okay, that's the white and orange. These wings are kind of pearlescent in color, but they create a little bubble streak back behind the hoochie. We got a nice spinner blade on there. Great action. These things have been hammering today. You'll see in another video of us just running these behind our offset dodgers, smoking fish on them. We just started carrying these guys. I got that one. Here's the smaller one. This is our 1.5. It's got a little smaller spinner on it as well. That one's in the hot pink. All right. Yeah, you got to have them to the arsenal. All right. There's 3 things I'm going to show you right now that we carry that just flat out catch fish. That's the winged hoochie. That's the smaller version. I like them both. Now, everyone that's been paying attention knows that this is King Kong to me. These are the T-Pexes. That, in my opinion, is the best lure for kokanee out there. Period. Hands down. You're not going to beat it. Yeah, sometimes it'll turn off, and then I'll be using my Uncle Larry's. I'll be using my winged hoochies, but you've got to have a box full of T-Pexes. That's my favorite one right there. That's an orange gold with black dots. I also love the Kevorkian. I love the orange and pink swirl. Pretty much these T-Pexes will catch any fish in the lake. We've caught all species on them. All right, that one's an orange gold with black dots. Another one of my favorites right here. That is the orange with the swirl in it, okay? And if you notice, we put that bobber stop on there, which is very unique to us. We put that bobber stop on and move it up about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. As you move that thing up, further up your line, you're getting more and more action off your spoon, okay? It's imperative that you move that off there. That's what we have it there for. Slide that bobber stop up. Make sure your spoon is just resting on it. You don't want it stuck in the middle, just resting on it. Get it in the water. It's going to be super erratic, and it's going to catch you fish. When you're fishing these T-Pexes, when you're fishing for kokanee, king salmon, trout, a lot of these fish can have really sharp teeth, okay? So we have decided to start carrying leaders to replace stuff really fast. Wham! They come with bobber stops. These are a sickle style hook. These hooks right here, Maruto, these things are needle sharp, okay? And if you look at them, they kind of got a different angle to them, all right? These things stick fish, and they're definitely gonna help you keep fish on. But we sell these leaders now in multiple quantity packs, okay? So get on there. It makes, having to swap out a whole setup or anything else. You just pull the T-Pex off, run it back on the line, you're back in business, okay? Just all you gotta do is just cut the leader at that point, tie up your loop. That's it. Simple and easy. Now we go on to the OG of all spinners, guys. That's the Uncle Larry's. These things have been putting fish in the boat for years and years. That's a copper pop. All right, copper blade. One of my favorites on the Uncle Larry's. And a Glow Mad Irishman. Anyone that's been fishing kokanee a long time, they have at least 4 of these out, or on their kokanee roll. I can guarantee you that. If you don't know about Uncle Larry's, you're missing out once again. Uncle Larry's, that's a Mad Irishman. I also like the pink glow, the orange glow, the copper pop, purple passion. I mean, there's a time and a place for all the colors. That's why we have them, and they all work. Last but not least, the Chrome Killer Corn. That is the best recipe for kokanee for your corn that there is out there, guys. I'm gonna give it to you real quick. It is 1 can of white shoe peg corn. Okay, you want to drain it. Make sure you don't need to get it dry, but you definitely want to drain it, get the water off. Take that, you mix it with a tablespoon and a half of the Chrome Killer scent, and then a tablespoon and a half of my Chrome Killer Corn Cure. It's an orange. That's a color I've always used. That's the color we made it in. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, it just flat out works. The stuff is phenomenal. You mix that stuff up, mix it up, you know, the afternoon before you go, let it sit all night, and it's good to go in the morning. Mine only lasts a week, but I make a full container of it. It lasts me about a week. I know people that like to make their corn every time they go. I know people that freeze it, vacuum seal it, and the stuff just it works. It works, and it definitely holds up in the freezer. So, guys, that's a breakdown of pretty much everything that I'm gonna go through. When you come out on my boat, you're seeing me use all this stuff. I'll be putting stuff in rotation. Usually I'll have one of everything out. And then, you know, if the fish seem to be keying in on one of my presentations more than another, I'll swap out another one, add another one to the arsenal. If both of them keep going, then I'm adding 3. if all 3 are going, I'm putting 4 out there, and I'll have all 4 of the same exact thing. And we'll just keep sticking them. We've been getting limits on top of limits on top of limits for years, using this system and using this tackle, and the stuff just works, guys. It works. Believe me. Make the corn up. Use the scent. Use the tackle. I want to tell you about the rods, reels, the terminal tackle that I use for kokanee. This is actually our Catch America Big Nate's trolling rod. And it is 7'9", rated a 2 to 8 pound line. Okay, this thing is as good of a rod as you can have, as far as sensitivity goes, backbone. You know, we're using it right now for kokanee, but we brought this rod up and tested it at Pyramid Lake, and we got cutthroat up to 22 pounds on this rod. So plenty of backbone, but there's a ton of sensitivity to it. This is how I have it loaded in my rod holders when I'm fishing for kokanee. We get that thing all the way over. So when that rod gets bit, it's going to pop up and it's going to have that hook set for you. Okay? That's how I run all my trolling rods. They're all doubled over as hard as you can get them. So that way, when you grab the rod, all you have to do is just fight the fish. There's no more having to worry about set the hook or anything else. My preferred reel is the Shimano Dakota. I've tried them all, and I've worn them all out. The Shimano Dakotas. Oh, fish on right there, Milani. Reel, honey. Reel, honey. Reel. There you go. There you go. Keep cranking. Smooth. There we go. That is on the brand new Big Nate bait, y'all. That's our second hookup in about 15 minutes on it. All right, so I was just in the middle of recording that segment for you guys, and we hooked a big old king salmon on our brand new Big Nate bait. I ended up getting a scale off of it. It was a nice king salmon scale, so clearly this is our first time running them. These things are killer. We've already got 2 fish on them in about 15 minutes, 2 different patterns, so you guys are definitely want to check those out. But what I was talking about is the reels. So I prefer the Shimano Dakota. I've tried them all. I've had the Daiwa Lexus. Right now I'm running Shimano Dakotas and Old School Ambassador Abu Garcias. Some of the smoothest drag systems you can find, guys, and they're just fantastic reels. But the Dakota, I like having the line counter. This line counter has, I mean, they've lasted, I've had these reels about 2 to 3 years. And the line counters still work and the drag's still smooth. So you can't go wrong with either or. What I do for trolling as far as line goes, I always run 8 pound Maxima Ultra Green. That's my line of choice. It always has been and probably always will be. My dad ran it and he was a captain. You know, so it's just been the number one line. It's very limp, and also it can, yeah, I mean, we land 20, 30 pound salmon on it. So, I mean, the stuff is fantastic. Hang on 1 second here. Got that one back in that zone. It's about where we were there. So for kokanee rods, trout trolling rods, you have to have something sensitive, and that's this whole setup right here. I consider absolutely ideal. The Big Nate trolling rod, 2 to 8 pound line at 7.9, one piece. Shimano Dakota, this is your 300, a little bit larger, so you get a little bit more line capacity, and 8 pound maximum ultra green. You can't go wrong. So water temperature when it comes to kokanee, biggest thing that's going to change with kokanee and water temps is the fact that when the water starts to get warmer, these fish are going to push deeper. Kokanee prefer like 54 to 55 degree water. That's where they'll like to, hang out and be the most comfortable. But they will come up to warmer water to feed and then dive down. So, one of the things that can catch you some more fish is like getting one of those, I believe it's called a fish hawk. You can drop it down all the way to the bottom, bring it back up, and it's to give you a temperature reading from the surface all the way down, to 200 feet. So you look for that temperature break where these fish are more comfortable hanging out. And that's gonna give you a good idea. Even though you aren't seeing the fish there, that doesn't mean that they're not there necessarily. Sometimes they'll just come out of nowhere and you'll get a bite. But having your presentations in the zone where they're more comfortable hanging out, that's definitely going to give you an advantage of catching more fish. All right, I'm gonna take a couple minutes to talk about moon phases. Right now we have a full moon. You can't see it anymore, but it just went down behind the mountains. Moon phase can always affect the bite. It affects fish out in the saltwater. It affects fish here. What fish will do with a full moon is they will feed all night long. So sometimes if you can get out early enough, you can get the backside of that really good bite from the fish, just kind of chowing down. But if not, the fish are going to eat later. Usually, I'd say 11 to 1 o'clock will probably be your best bite window. It's always something to pay attention to. Being a guide, we just have to go out and just kind of deal with it and, play the hand that we're dealt. What you can do is just kind of keep moving around. Maybe you'll find some fish that weren't feeding quite as heavy as other fish during the full moon phase at nighttime. But don't give up and think, oh, it's a full moon, let's just cancel the trip. No, just wait the fish out. Sometimes you just got to be patient, and that's one of the biggest keys to going fishing. Patience is key. You've got to have it. If not, you're just end up going home empty-handed. If you need any advice or tips, feel free to reach out to me. You reach out to Catch America. Max is always there to try and answer the phone calls, give you a helping hand, let you know dates on when tackle is going to be in stock, when it's not, get you on our list so you do know. We're doing our best to keep up with your orders. And once again, we really appreciate all you guys. We appreciate the support. And God bless. CatchAmerica.com. Check our YouTube videos, all the good stuff. Thank you for watching.